Hey, what's up, guys? Sean here with BlueRidgeSilverhound. And in this particular video, we have a little bit of educational lesson for you. And it revolves around grading. But it's probably one of the most important lessons that you need to know about grading because it could seriously make the difference of you breaking even or losing money or possibly making hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And that's really correctly identifying the difference between a mint state coin and one that is about uncirculated. It's kind of like that grading bridge that a lot of people have the hardest time comprehending. What separates one coin from the other? About uncirculated is simply that. It's about uncirculated, which means that this coin has passed through a few hands. There's definitely some circulation wear on this coin. Whereas a coin like this, that probably grades out anywhere from mint state 60 to 62, you see virtually a negligible difference between an AU slider type coin, which, is about like AU 58 or 58 plus, which is a grade differential that we don't see too often, that plus designated 58. But the difference is so negligible, and we're going to talk a little bit about separating one to the other. Plus, we're also going to cite a few examples on one of my favorite grading websites, PCGS.com, to show you the difference between AU graded coins and the next level up. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to blow your minds, and it'll definitely open your eyes to this particular grade jump. So stay tuned, have fun, and let's go ahead and do some exploration on this. All right, what we have here is an 1891S Morgan dollar. This is going to be the example we use to illustrate what an about uncirculated graded coin should look like. Now, the coin is not graded, but we could grade coins that are raw, right? Typically, when a coin is raw, you don't really want to refer to it to any specific numerical grade in the Sheldon system. Even though it exists, people can still say, yeah, this is kind of like a technical AU55 or an XF40 or a VG8, things like that. Again, the grades that a lot of people tell you from their mouth, including myself, are all quite subjective, right? They're my opinions only. And, if I say the sky is blue, there's going to be some of you that'll say it's pink or purple or what have you. But it's always good to kind of take perspective of a coin that is just about borderline from it being an AU to a MidState coin. Because believe it or not, there's a lot on this coin that might throw off certain people into thinking that it is MidState. All right. So again, that's that kind of relaxed way of looking at grading. People will give this a generous upgrade to a mint-state type of numerical grade, when in reality, it's simply not the case. Okay, and that's something you're going to have to pay attention to, especially if you're purchasing kind of like semi-key dated coins on eBay, which happens all the time. Now, this is an 1891S. It's not the rarest coin, neither is it the most common, because, this particular date right here is a little bit tougher, all right? It's not a coin that you traditionally see at coin shops and things like that, for 50 bucks, all right? Because there are ungraded, raw, mid-state examples of some of the more common dates like 1882O, 1879 S, things like that. Those are coins that traditionally in mid-state you could find raw for between probably $45 and $60. This one right here is worth around that $125 range in AU 58. Now, first thing that you want to take notice is the luster. I've been kind of like flashing the luster around on this coin, and it has what they call nice cartwheels. So you can see the luster flash all the way around, and that's exactly what you want to see on the coin that is traditionally problem-free. Another thing that probably you'll notice is that there's a few little scratches here, little hairlines, and that's quite normal for a coin that grades out around here. But what you're not going to see is more kind of same shape, same direction scratches all the way around. Okay, that might actually mean your coin is clean. And that's really easy to spot because you're going to see some of the same type of hairlines all around the coin that are all going in the same direction. So make sure you're looking out for that, and you know exactly what you're looking for, say, when you're shopping online on eBay. So a few little hairlines like this is completely acceptable. But you'll notice also that there is also a lack of luster right here on this cheek area, because that's one of the highest areas in relief on the coin that is subjected to more circulation wear. Same with some of these higher little engraved little hairlines here in this design, along with the cap right here, and these little few hair curls are very susceptible to circulation wear. But one of the biggest areas of circulation wear has to be the fields. Okay, that's that blank kind of like flat area around the devices of the coin. What you're going to notice is a nice little healthy trail of circulation wear on the fields. So when you flash the luster with a cartwheel, you're going to see this dark area right here through the luster, and they call that a luster break. All right, that's going to be important when you're identifying a coin of this magnitude, or any coin whatsoever. It doesn't necessarily have to be a silver dollar. It could be a $50. It could be a Lincoln cent. It could be something older as well. But you'll see here on the reverse as well, there's some high point wear right here on the breast feathers of the eagle. And then here in this flat field areas, you're going to see the luster breaks as well. All right, so pretty neat. This is something to keep an eye out for, because the thing that you're going to notice when you're shopping like on eBay or maybe some other auction sites, or perhaps maybe on Facebook or whatnot, or TikTok and some of these other places that have people that sell coins, is they're going to give a courtesy bump in the grade. They'll say something like this might be, like a low-end MidState, and they're going to keep it at that without actually saying the numerical grade. What you don't want to do is get caught up in that, okay? Because you're going to end up spending more money for a coin like this, because you're taking the word of someone, all right, who has their own subjective view of the grade of a coin. Buy the coin and not the grade. So if this is something that looks good to you, it has and fulfills a need for your collection, all right, then spend whatever your max amount is, and don't get caught up in the hype and the emotional aspect of it when you're trying to run a deal for a coin. So again, this is an AU condition coin. All right, note a few of the things I talked about. And then let's go ahead and talk about this coin right here. This is a MidState 62 by NGC, all right? So generally, if a coin is not going to be graded AU 58, and it's like a borderline, a grader, PCGS, NGC, or a dealer might look at it and say, well, it's probably more along the lines of a MidState 61 or 62. Here's what they're looking at. Now, take note of the luster in the fields. This one has a tremendous amount of cartwheel luster, but you also see the luster flashing on the cheek area, whereas one of the more normal and more susceptible areas to circulation wear, you could still see that line of luster flash back and forth right there. Okay, and then when you look at the fields, notice that there's not enough luster break in this area to signify circulation wear. So this one right here, I feel like they got the grade pegged correctly. All right, and then the only thing that really separates this from higher grades, obviously, is going to be contact marks. There might be a few little hairlines because this coin made contact with other silver dollars in a canvas bag, which was something common, and that's why we had the GSA hoard. All those coins were saved in those bags for many years, and they were just sitting in bank vaults. So take a look at the reverse as well. Beautiful luster all the way around. Not too much in the way of luster breaks, but you can also see some of the luster on the breast feathers, which is the highest point of the reverse of this coin. All right, and then that's why it graded out in MidState 62. This could have been a MidState 61, and I wouldn't feel bad about it. It's awfully close, but the big kind of differentiator between a 61 and 62 has to be the amount of chatter on the coin, which is also known as contact marks. So again, typically a lot of these coins are clanging and banging together, and other like coins in the same bag. And that's really where you're going to get the difference in the technical grade of these things. But you're also going to pay close attention to things like toning, to the how strong the strike is on some of these. There are certain dates of Morgan dollars that exhibits a much weaker strike than some of the others. Graders do know this, so if you send out some of those kind of like weird dates, maybe a 1904 or 1903, coming toward the tail end of the regular issue of Morgan dollars, they might make extra considerations on a Morgan dollar from those years because they are generally more weakly struck. So there are things like that are a little bit more advanced when it comes to the to actual technical grade of coins. But if you notice the difference between this and the 1891S, you're going to see that this one has very little in the way of the luster breaks in the fields. And that's kind of like one of the big differentiators from one grade to the other. Okay, so we are here on PCGS.com, and I wanted to personally show you guys this website to illustrate the difference in value, especially if you guys are going to be going out there and kind of hunting raw rarities. This is our 1891S that you see here. Now, if we scroll down just a little bit, let's see, where's my pen? You're going to notice that there's going to be a kind of like this kind of graph right here. You're going to notice the numerical grade across the top. We have 58 here. That's 125. There's a 58 plus, 140. But when you get across to the mid-state grades, you're going to notice that the price jumps up considerably. So if we have that 61, it's 200, and 62 is 250. Now, you guys are going to ask me, well, what about 60? 60 is such a controversial grade that not too many graders actually use mid-state 60 these days. It's actually more difficult to earn a mid-state 60 of any one particular coin than it is, say, a mid-state 66 or 67. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. But when you look at the 258 grades, altogether it's 265 coins graded between these two grades, which have virtually a negligible difference between a regular 58 and a plus designation, which is kind of like a half a point. So 58 and a half is what that one would be. But when we get here to 60, 61, there's virtually no difference whatsoever. It really depends on, how generous your grader is during that time. So when you look at the populations here, all right, notice in 68, there's 817 that were graded at that level. In 60, there's only 71, but it jumps up really high in 61 at 483. So that's a telling kind of piece of data there that not only do they don't grade plus designated 58s, but they don't grade 60 that often either. All right, so that's a 1891S. As you can see, the values are pretty decent. Again, it's not kind of like your garden variety key date. But let's say, we end up with an 1894S, and we're going to go extreme here with this one. 1894S. Actually, let's do 1893S. That's the most extreme. 1893S is the big key date for the Morgan Dollar series. Here's kind of a general idea of what you're looking at if you're trying to decide to buy a coin that grades either a 58 or a 61, and you're going to see the difference is huge. So I have to scroll across here till we get to 58 and show 61 all in the same graph. Now, let's say you pulled a coin, maybe from a dealer that's raw, or perhaps third-party kind of deal that you're trying to work up with someone who is what they call an old-time collector that didn't grade anything. And they had this 1893S, but, it could go either way. If you're not super picky about the grade and you're not taking cues from some of the things that I showed you guys in terms of identifying high point wear, luster breaks, things like that, hairlines, you might end up paying, say, $150,000 for a coin that is sight seen, when in reality, it's probably worth $100,000. Again, look at the grades here. 58 plus, they've only graded one example at that grade level. Again, 58 plus, and 60 are two incredibly obscure grades that the graders don't use that often. So it's either going to be a 58 or a 61. And 61, check out the price difference. $285,000 for a 61, while your 58 is $100,000. And here's kind of the caveat in all this. Sure, I'm showing you the most extreme example here, but people are doing this every week, every day of the week. They're constantly hunting down raw examples of coins that hit six figures, and then there is quite a strong disparity in value between a 58 and 61 that you absolutely need to peg down the correct grade, because if you don't, you're going to lose a lot of money. But however, if you're really good at it and you know what to look for, man, I'm telling you, you guys can make a boatload of money. Again, one of the hardest things to kind of button down educationally is grading. You have to get grading down before you could go out and make a boatload of money on your coins. It's one of the things that I preach constantly on my channel, aside from other places as well. So take the time to practice identifying a AU condition 58 or maybe even a 55 and something that is 61. What I like doing is buying an AU 58 and an MidState 61 coin of the same date. And if you say aimed for like a 1922 peace dollar or a 1882 Philadelphia Morgan dollar, you could easily find both grades for about 50 bucks or less. All right, that's going to be a great teaching tool for you. I would say buy one of each through both PCGS and NGC, so that way you have 4 coins total, and use these as educational guides. Take them anywhere, if you're going to a coin show, a big coin show, a small coin show, if you're going to meet a client that you met online about selling a big collection and they have some of these big marquee rarities like this, take your educational kind of test pieces with you so that way you could correctly identify and then bid accordingly, because this is important. You guys need to know more about grading, and there's other facets about grading that is so complex. This is probably the most complex, differentiating an AU 58 and a MidState 61. I'm telling you guys, you're going to be saving yourself a lot of aggravation and probably a lot of money as well if you're able to kind of track things like this. But that's what I want to talk about in this video. Hopefully you guys got a little takeaway in this personal kind of experiment of trying to decide if you had a 58 or a 61. Use it, practice it, buy some reference coins to keep in your collection. Make sure you're buying them already graded, and then use them as a teaching tool for you. That's it. I'm your host, Sean, with BlueRidgeSilverhound. Stay tuned tonight. I got my Whatnot auction, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern. I'm going to have all the links down below in the description box, including my referral link to get your $15 in credit. So I hope to see you guys there. Go ahead and buy yourself some coins. I'm actually adding more coins minutes before we go live. But I had fun with this video. You guys take care. Have a good one, and I will see you on the next coin video.